Namaskar. Welcome to another episode of Editorial. Before I start my editorial, let me say what I usually say to you. Please share this content. Please share this content because YouTube does not share this content enough. YouTube doesn't share our content enough, and the only way we can reach people is if you share the content. Better well, please watch us on www.hwnews.in, because if you start watching our content in our own website, then we don't have to depend on any platform to reach you. So that's my request. Now let's get into our editorial. I have one subject for you tonight, just one subject, and that is the call for ban on loudspeakers. Loudspeakers which are used by mosques to electronically amplify azan. So Raj Thackeray has asked for a ban. Let's talk about azan, let's talk about loudspeakers, and let's talk about Raj Thackeray. Let's get right into the show. The first azan which was electronically amplified, which means the first azan which was played in a loudspeaker, was in 1936 in Singapore. The name of the masjid was Masjid Sultan. Masjid Sultan first amplified azan. Post which a lot of countries did use loudspeaker for azan, a lot of countries didn't. Countries like Netherlands, for instance, 7 to 8% of Netherlands mosques were only using loudspeaker for azan, others were not. Countries like Turkey, Morocco and others, they used loudspeaker for azan. Even today they use loudspeaker for azan. Countries like Pakistan, for instance, has banned using loudspeaker for azan. Now, the custodian of Islam, or where Makkah and Medina exist, which is Saudi Arabia, they have not banned using a loudspeaker for azan, but they have put a restriction on the voice level of azan, which means that in Saudi Arabia, you cannot use 1/3 of the maximum voice on your loudspeaker for azan. And the reason they say that this rule was put quite recently. This was put in May 2021. It's the latest rule. In fact, one of the things that they said, which is very interesting, is that the reason why they are putting this restriction on usage of loudspeaker and restriction on the decimal level of using the loudspeaker is because Prophet Muhammad had actually said that every man is silently calling on his Lord. Therefore, no one should disturb the other, nor in recitation or prayer. I should raise my voice on the voice of others. So, the Prophet himself, Saudi Arabian administration said, has told that please do not raise your voice so much so that others get disturbed, others calling gets disturbed. And the Saudi administration also argued in its order that the Imam is about to start the prayers. It should be known to the people present in the mosque and not the people living in the neighborhood houses. It is rather an insult to the Quran that you tell them through loudspeaker. So he said, listen, you know what? People who are in the mosque should be knowing when when the Imam is going to say the prayers. But it should not be publicized in the loudspeaker. It is an insult to Quran. This is what the Saudi administration said. Okay. So this is where it stands. So the Muslim world is also divided on the fact on the issue of whether to use a loudspeaker for azan or whether not to use the loudspeaker for azan. A lot of people in India also say that, you see, there has to be certain amount of restrictions as far as usage of loudspeaker is concerned. The voice decibel has to be controlled, timing has to be fixed. But what they also say is that if there is a rule, then that rule should be for everyone. It should be for Muslims, it should be for Hindus, it should be for Sikhs, it should be for Christians. Now, there is a court ruling on this. Let me just take you through the court ruling on this. In 2020, the Allahabad court said that though azan was essential to Islamic religious practice, The use of loudspeaker was not. The court drew upon the Supreme Court's judgment in 2000 in the Church of God Full Gospel in India versus KKR Majestic, wherein it was observed that no religion or religious sect can claim that the use of loudspeaker or similar instrument for prayers or for worship or for celebrating religious festivals is an essential part of the religion which is protected under Article 25. I have taken you through Article 25. Article 25 is where it is said that you can do whatever it takes, whatever rituals it takes, which are essential to practice your religion. So that's the fact. The court says, Baba, azan is very important practice for the religion, for the religious practice, but amplifying azan or putting it in the loudspeaker is not. Same way, he said no religious practice. No religious practice needs to celebrate or pray somewhere where you are putting it in the loudspeaker, you are making the whole area come to know about it. They say no religious practice needs to be doing that. So somewhere down the line, as far as not using a loudspeaker is concerned, you are not breaching Article 25. You are not stopping anybody from practicing their religion because it is not essential for the religion. That's what the court said. Now, let me come to the political angle. The Maharashtra Navnirman Sena chief, Raj Thackeray, he went out and said on one of his rallies in Thane, he went out and said that loudspeaker in mosque should be shut till May 3rd. He gave a deadline. May 3rd and loudspeaker should be shut. Otherwise, we will play Hanuman Chalisa with speakers. This is a social issue and not a religious one. I want to tell the state government, we will not go back on this subject. Do whatever you want to do. So, all of a sudden, azan, which was played since 1930s, all of a sudden, it has become an issue. While I spoke to you, azan, and what people feel about azan, all that I spoke to you, but on another end, now this has become a political issue, like the hijab. Is playing Hanuman Chalisa to combat azan? Are you playing tit for tat by using a devotional hymn which is sung in the glory of Bajrangbali, in the glory of Hanuman? Are you using that devotional hymn to combat azan, holy azan that is played in loudspeaker? How fair is that? How fair is that? If you read Quran, I will read Bhagavad Gita. If you read Bible, I will read Mahabharata. Arey, what kind of tit for tat is this? What kind of tit for tat is this? If you wear hijab, I will wear gamcha, saffron color gamcha. What kind of tit for tat is this? And where are we going with this? My first question is to my Mumbaikars. Does an average Mumbaikar, does he wants to see communal conflict? Communal conflict because of loudspeaker and azan? Does he want to see that? Does he or she want to see that? Then if he doesn't, then what are these political parties trying to do? Why are they trying to divide Mumbai like they did Bangalore? I too believe that azan should be played, azan should be amplified at a certain decibel level. I too believe that. I also believe that there should be a specified time where you amplify azan. I also believe that. But I also believe that there should be a certain amount of decibel level. When you do any religious function, be it azan, be it Navratri, be it Ganpati, be it anything, be it Christmas, be it carols, anything should have the same law. Law should be the same. It should not be one for one religion and another for another. It should never be. It should be one. That is what I believe. But that being said, using azan or using a religious sentiment, I would say, it is not even a religious ritual, religious sentiment to political gain before elections. Is that fair? And one of Bharatiya Janata Party's leader, Mohit Kamboj, saying that I will gift 10,000 speakers to Manase workers to go and put it up. It is as if contract laboring, I will give you the stuff, you go and put it up. I urge the citizens of this beautiful state not to fall for all this, because If there is a problem with azan, it should be taken up. If there is a problem with playing loudspeakers for azan or for any religious function for that matter of fact, those things should be taken up, but it should be taken up through the right channels, courts. That's how it should be taken up. Not by saying that you play azan, I will play Hanuman Chalisa and all. This is not the way to solve a problem. And I think as Mumbaikars especially, we know it best, don't we? Till I see you next time. Namaskar.